Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. I'm returning to you tonight for a special video. This is actually the end of the year video for decent to good movies of 2022 that I'm going to be listing off and letting you know what movies are on this list, of course. So, yeah, I'm going to discuss from numbers 36 to whatever number I get to, because this might have to be in parts, of course, and let you know my thoughts on each movie that I watched this whole year. There's 36 movies on this list, so there's quite a bit for sure, but I think we can, or I can get done with it, or at least 2 videos tonight and do one more tomorrow. But yeah, this is a premiere video for tonight, so definitely tune into this premiere video. So let's dive right into this decent to good movies of 2022 part 1 video, if it's possibly part 1. And number 36 is Smile. Now, this was a creepy movie, to be honest, but the story behind it was interesting, but the movie itself was just creepy, and it kind of brought the rating down a bit, so I had to put it at the top of the list, because it wasn't a special movie, it wasn't anything special, but it was something. It was just about this possessed Smiley uh, demon or whatever that's possessing people and all that and making them do things, and it's so gross what really happens with that. And I think the movie's coming out on DVD tomorrow, or at least on the 13th, of course, which I am having this video out on the 13th for you guys. So basically, number 36 is Smile. It was a decent movie. The story behind it was interesting, but the ending kind of ruined it for me and ruined the execution of how it ended with that certain sequence. But the way you see the demon, the Smiley demon, it's just freaky towards the end of the movie. It'll give you nightmares, kind of freaky. And number 35 is Black Adam. Now, this was a decent movie. I was impressed with Dwayne Johnson's acting in it, in my personal opinion. I know he's very overexposed with most of the movies he's in nowadays, but his acting in it as Black Adam, he did really good, in my opinion. I'm sorry, I'm a little tired. I've had quite a bit of a day. So, yeah, Black Adam was a interesting movie. The script may be simple and somewhat on the fence with me with how certain sequences are played out, but for what it went for, I think the movie itself was decent in its own way. So at number 35 is Black Adam. Number 34 is Kimi. Now, this was about a certain device or whatever that's basically some kind of, it's almost like Google or Alexa or whatever like that. But it's a voice operating system or whatever. So it's a pretty intense movie for most of it, but the script itself was fairly decent, in my opinion. It's a little better than the other previous 2 movies, but other than that, for what it went for, I think Kimi was a decent movie for what I watched with this movie. Zoe Saldana, or not Saldana, Zoe Kravitz, I meant to say. Please forgive me if I said Zoe Saldana. I was thinking of someone different from Guardians of the Galaxy who plays Gamora. So please forgive me on that. I said the last name wrong. But basically, Kimi was a interesting movie, but nothing special. So at number 34 is Kimi. Alright, at number 33 is Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. Now, this was a decent movie. It had some cartoonish moments, and it was in a live action movie as well, with the cartoon mixed in. And I don't know if it did very well, in my opinion, But for what this movie went for, the script itself was decent. Nothing amazing in my opinion, but it was something for what it went for. So, uh, I remember reviewing this back in May this year, and definitely go check out my review for this movie. I think you might enjoy it. So at number 33 is Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. Number 32 is Hellraiser. Now this was a pretty interesting movie for sure. Any Hellraiser movie I've watched, some of them do good, some of them are decent and fairly okay and all that. It just depends on how the movie's pacing and the script turns out for the movie and the premise of the movie turns out. So the basic premise is this girl's brother or whatever gets killed by the uh, whatever it is that they're called, the uh, something bites or whatever, nanobites or something like that. I can't remember what they were called. I haven't seen the movie since October or November. It's been a little bit, but I remember watching it and thinking, okay, this was a decent movie or a decent watch. So, number 32 is Hellraiser. Number 31 is Pearl. Now, this was a pretty sick movie for sure. Mia Goth plays as Pearl in this movie, the one from the movie X, of course, and that movie was just creepy for sure. So, I was impressed with Pearl a little bit, but I wouldn't say it's the best movie this year. It's a decent movie. The script was alright, but the kill scenes were just gruesome. And some of the Mia Goth's acting in it as Pearl, she was meant. She was an interesting character, but she was a little deranged for sure. And like I said, the older woman that plays as Pearl in the X movie, if you haven't seen the X movie, definitely go check that out, because you wouldn't understand it until you watch the prequel, Pearl. Because if you watch the prequel, Pearl, before you watch X, then you're going to be confused. So, it makes sense to watch X first before you watch Pearl, of course, but basically at number 31 is Pearl. I think the script was alright, but the movie's pacing and the premise of it was decent. And nothing special, but decent. Number 30 is Lyle Lyle Crocodile. Now, I think I gave it an average score if I remember correctly, but the movie's weakened over time, in my personal opinion. I think it's a decent movie. Not the worst movie I've seen this year, but it's something at least. It's about a singing crocodile, and people are. He's trying to. Well, what is it? Benicio del Toro is trying to get Lyle to sing in front of an audience, but he gets stage fright, of course. So, yeah, the animal control takes him away and puts him in the zoo or whatever with the other crocodiles, but he's more of a special crocodile. Constance Wu was in this movie as well, and her performance in it was pretty good, along with Constance Wu's son in the movie, of course. Um, so basically, this movie did decent in its own way, so definitely give it a shot and see what you think of it. So at number 30 is Lyle Lyle Crocodile. Alright, at number 29 is Luck. Now, this was a interesting movie. I wouldn't say it's as good as when I watched it, but it's weakened over time, in my personal opinion. It's a decent movie for what it went for, but some of the script is a little on the fence with me. Like, I don't know if I like it or not, to be honest, but, still, the movie's about this girl. It's an animated film, of course, on Apple TV, and if you have Apple TV, definitely check this movie out yourself. Came out back in August, and it's a solid movie for what I went for. So, at number 29 is Luck. Um, Mostly the premise is about this coin that helps this girl get lucky, and because if she doesn't have the coin, then she's gonna have super bad luck. And basically, it's just gonna be tough for her and all that. So, yeah. And number 28 is Marry Me. Now, I think this came out back in February this year. It's with Owen Wilson and Jennifer Lopez, and also, uh, can't remember the other rapper's name, Bad Bunny or something like that. I don't know for sure. But basically, the movie was decent, nothing special, and it was also directed by Ben Affleck. And I was like, figures. But still, for what it went for, in my opinion, I think Marry Me was a decent movie. It's not anything special, but it's something. So at number 28 is Marry Me. It's just about a movie where this Jennifer Lopez's character in the movie is just trying to find true love, and finds out the guy she was with, Maluma was his name, if I remember correctly. That was the guy I was thinking of. So, please forgive me if I said Bad Bunny. I was thinking of someone else. But basically, at number 28 is Marry Me. You can definitely go check out my movie review if you haven't seen it yet. I think you will enjoy it. Number 27 is Hocus Pocus 2. Now, this was a pretty solid movie for what it went for. Not my personal favorite, but it's decent for what it went for. The script is about the Sanderson sisters coming back from the dead and all that, and seeking havoc on the town again. And basically, it's about these three girls that do end up becoming witches in the movie. You can definitely go check out this. Sorry about the ding. That's my messenger or whatever. Um, Someone messaged me. But basically, you can definitely go check out my movie review for it if you haven't seen it. I think you will enjoy it for Hocus Pocus 2. So, at number 27 is Hocus Pocus 2. It's on Disney Plus, or if you have to wait till DVD release date, you can, but I don't know when that's gonna happen, of course. So, number 27 is Hocus Pocus 2. Number 26 is The Lost City. This had Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum in this movie. But basically, for me personally, I think it was a decent movie. Brad Pitt was in it. I was a little impressed with his performance in this movie. Uh, but for what this went for, I was like, interesting movie. And with what I watched through this movie, and sorry, I'm getting sidetracked for a moment. My mom's talking to someone on the phone. So basically, the movie is about Daniel Radcliffe. Can't believe he plays a character named Abigail. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? That's a girl's name. So I'm like, what the fuck? So basically, in my opinion, The Lost City was an interesting movie, but nothing special, in my opinion. The ending to it was just iffy with me, but it's decent. And number 25 is Father Stew. Now, this was a biography story about the guy who was known as Father Stew, and Mark Wahlberg plays as him, and most of the performance for Mark Wahlberg was a little bit on the fence with me, but for what this movie went for, I think it was a decent movie. It's not the best movie, it's just his the guy, Father Stew, had an alcohol problem for most of his life and was on other things and fucking up so much until he gets a spiritual awakening to where he eventually goes and finds God, and wants to become a priest. He finds someone he likes, and then he realizes that he just wants to become a priest, and then he starts getting these physical illnesses and all that. Some kind of physical illness where it paralyzes him and puts him in a wheelchair, which sucks, but yeah. But still, number 25 is Father Stu. The ending was pretty sad, but it was an interesting movie. Interesting biography movie. So definitely check this movie out if you haven't seen it this year. Number 24 is Enola Holmes 2. Now, this was a good movie. It was actually a decent movie in my opinion. I said good movie by mistake. The good movies don't come in until like later in the next part or so for decent to good movies of 2022. But basically, with what I watched with Enola Holmes 2, she's just solving another murder mystery or something like that, and Henry Cavill plays as Sherlock Holmes again, and Millie Bobby Brown's playing as Enola Holmes in this one, and it's an interesting movie about Professor Moriarty. And give me a second, guys, I gotta pause the video. Sorry, guys, had to pause the video for a moment. My mom was calling me for a second, but basically, it was about Professor Moriarty, which I didn't like who was playing Moriarty. I wouldn't say they were bad, but it's just the way it came off. I was like, are you fucking serious? So, yeah, if you haven't seen Enola Holmes 2 on Netflix or online or whatever, definitely go check it out. I think you will enjoy it. I'd prefer watching it online because Netflix, they're just a bunch of fucking criminals, in my opinion. So, at number 24 is Enola Holmes 2. And I'll mention one more and then I'm going to end this video and come at you for part 2 in due time. Number 23 is Minions: The Rise of Gru. Now, this was a interesting movie. It was decent for what it went for. It's just about Gru and his minions, and they're trying to be the best bad guys in the movie, and they make it look so. I'm not sure. It was an interesting movie, but they stop other villainous bad guys in the movie, and then they become their own supervillains themselves later on in life, of course. So basically, in my opinion, this movie was decent, and the CGI in certain moments in the cartoonish stuff was a little wonky and weird, but for me personally, I think this movie's premise was decent and on point some of the time, but it did drift away from certain sequences in the movie. So at number 23 is Minions: The Rise of Gru. I'm going to have to return to you for part 2 of the decent to good movies of 2022 video. I hope you enjoyed this first part for decent to good movies of 2022 video. I did the best I could to make it as good as possible. This is premiering at midnight, so definitely tune into this premiere video. And as always, I will see you in part 2 pretty soon for decent to good movies of 2022 video.